Welcome to another podcast, the Coding with Mitch podcast. Today I have another great guest. I always have great guests, and he has a pretty unique developer experience. We were just chatting about it before we got on here. His name is Gurupreet, or Guru as he likes to go by. Some of you probably know him from his Jetpack Compose GitHub, his Compose cookbook, which is awesome. Definitely the best thing out there that I've seen, other than like the Google samples themselves. So yeah, he has a very unique story. As I said, he was developing on the Windows phones before, Blackberry before you got started on Android. So I'm really curious how you got down the path of Android and how it was coming from Windows and Blackberry and all that. So tell us all about that.
Hey Mitch, thank you for having me here. It was nice meeting you. So it's quite a different story. That I got started with the mobile app development straight from the college when I was in like 2010, 11. And at that time, Android was there, but it was not that widely spread throughout the area. And I remember the Windows application. Windows was pushing the Windows 7, Windows 8 phone, and I think they called Lumia or something. So, and I got to know about it, and I'm like, okay, that looks interesting. And then you use C# or Visual Studio to set it up and just try apps. And I was like, okay, that's kind of interesting. And then I got started with, okay, you can make apps, and this is how apps should look. And that's what Windows Guide is. So
for the Windows phone.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and actually it was very early. So I made some demos. So Microsoft was like generous enough to send a couple of devices because I was in college. I don't have, resources to go buy devices.
Wow.
And definitely those were not in market because they were pre-built also. So they were, the way they will start is like kind of hackathons or open community chats, and they give you okay, these are the devices you want to develop, show us something, and we will send you devices. So I just put some demos on, and they were very generous to send me a couple of devices, and I tried out. And I know my first impression of the tile-based UI was very good. And I was like, oh, wow, this is so cool. And the whole, if you see the Windows itself, the OS, it was very similar. The mobile OS itself is a whole tile-based. So that was a nice experience to get started with it. And then later on, I found out like the Blackberry is trying to move from their keyboard OS to Blackberry OS, which was whole touch-based. And I'm not sure many viewers will know that, but I would really recommend just go and watch a video of Blackberry OS. And it was actually very ahead of its time. It has all the gesture navigation we currently have in Android or iOS. It had all that place in the system. I couldn't believe that was in 2011, 12. They had all the gesture animations and all the gesture navigations without any buttons. And that was mind-blowing device. And
So what happened?
Yeah, so similarly, they gave it to me. And I think that was my first paid app I launched on the Blackberry OS. And they were pushing a lot for it. But again, I think the main reason both the Windows and Blackberry couldn't go to the level they wanted to, even though they had some of the stuff very right as compared to Android or iOS, was the Play Store and App Store. That's the solid reason I think both of them were like not able to reach to the level, because Blackberry tried so hard to convert all the existing mobile apps like Android apps. They made it even easy to port your APK to Blackberry OS, so you could run APKs on them, and which was mind-blowing. Like, okay, then I was like, okay, I don't need to write the app from scratch in C. I can just use the APK that I wrote in Android and convert it. But then again, they couldn't. The main reason was they couldn't launch the very big apps like WhatsApp or other. They couldn't convince them to onboard to their system, and that was the, I think, main lacking point. But other than that, the device and the OS was really mind-blowing. So I can tell, like, if now in future, if a Huawei or someone else wanna get into this arena of new app store, that's really hard area. I mean, Microsoft and Blackberry have tried and they have failed in that. So it's kind of like it's really hard beating App Store and Play Store right now. So you have to be very good with that. So yeah, that was quite a journey to start with mobile. And later on, I moved with the after this, I moved with the Android development. And since then, I've been just sticking with Android, and I really love developing and how we have grew from Android 2, 3, and then starting the base applications to still now, and now moving towards the Jetpack Compose. So yeah, it's been quite a journey in mobile Android itself as well.
So you've seen it all essentially. Like you've been here from the start, even like through the evolution of Android. What do you think of Android today compared to Android, back then?
The cool thing I was just talking about with my friend, and he did a app. He is a backend developer, and name is Kevin, and he did a application in 2010 or something, and he came to me in like 2020 last year, and he's like, I know Android development. I'm like, no, you don't know. And like, you haven't done for like 10 years. You know what? 3 words he said, and they were all correct. So if you notice, he says, oh, you create an activity, then there will be a XML, and you write a UI in that. And in activity, you find view by ID, and you set the text. I'm like, actually, this is still happening into 2020 also. If you did that in 2010, so yeah. So if you see the Android has drastically changed, but the core, the base, the legacy of it is still there. Like we still have the activity-based system. So yeah, if you compare bit by bit, we have come a long way from doing everything in an activity, having a dependency injections, having our view model, Jetpack suits, and other stuff. So we've come a long way. But if you see the core of Android, it's still like, okay, you create activity, you write UI, and if you don't want to adopt anything, you can still release your app with base of that. So which is very nice. Hats off to Google for being always backward compatible with a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. And that's, I think, one of the best things they do.
Yeah, it's kind of like they just built a whole bunch of tools on top of what was already there. Like the core stuff, the activities, the fragments, the services, all that stuff is still there, which is actually why a lot of people still complain, because these things have problems. But there's a lot of tools that are built on top to make things a lot easier.
I think that's the curious thing about it, because they if you compare how Apple progress and how Google progress in that, Google's always mentality is to do backward compatibility. If you compare even the Jetpack Compose or Swift UI, so Swift UI is only valid on the latest OS, which hardly anybody has adopted the 14, I think iOS 14, and that time when they launched it. And similar, but if you see the Compose, Google goes as possible as they can to the backward compatible with the older versions. So that's always been the Google's approach. And I think this has definitely, it helps developer a lot, definitely. Like you do not need to worry about really, not supporting the older version. But again, so if they are doing it, they're definitely going to be some overhead. They are thinking, okay, if we're going to support Android 5, Android 6, if you're going to still support the KitKat, what we have to do the compromises if we still have to support it. So I think that's where it happens in the Google's approach.
Yeah, it's an interesting problem. You know what I thought of when you described that was, it's like you want the new stuff, because the new stuff, if like say Google produced this new like Android 31, and in Android 31 they took the approach that iOS did, and they said, okay, we're not backwards compatible, this is just the new stuff, but they fix everything. Like the life cycle problem is gone. You can do whatever kind of navigation you want. It's just like, whatever problem you have in your head that Android does, they solve them all. Let's just say that.
With the backward compatibility.
But then there's no backwards compatibility. It reminds me of like the COVID issue. So there's a way to like solve the COVID problem. The problem is that you can't do it. The way to solve it is everybody stays home for like a month, welds their door shut, come out after a month, and the problem is gone. It's similar to that. It's like nobody is willing to do that. It's the same thing with like compatibility. No one's willing to like just be like, okay, we're all done collectively as a population. We're now only going to use Android 31 and all the problems will go away. No one's going to do that. So you have to like do these kind of in-between transition sort of things that don't really work, but sort of work. And over time you'll get there, but it's just going to take like a really, really long time.
Yeah. I think yeah, that's one of the approach Google is always comfortable with, because they also know like none of the developer gonna move to. And we were just talking yesterday in our company, like someone was talking about this mad score this they have started, and it actually is just a gamification to showcase how many latest libraries or how many latest Jetpack stuff or other stuff you're using to show that your app score is higher. And if you have a very big app, you may not use that the latest stuff, and then your app score, the MET score, may not be high. So it's like kind of they're trying to gamify so to us to feel like we should adopt it. But yeah,
Right.
again, it's a adoption in a big space, and adoption in a small space is very different depending on the requirement as well as a lot of other stuff.
So that's what I wondered about that, because I didn't really do the the mad skill thing myself, but I saw a lot of people do it and they posted their scores, and a lot of them got like GOAT, which is like the best or whatever.
Yeah. So my cookbook got the GOAT as well. So I was like, okay, this is GOAT, but can it go to production right now? No. So
No.
I mean, like, okay, so it's a GOAT, but according to you. So yeah, okay, it's using all the latest stuff, but is it production ready? Well, who knows?
So let's talk about like back in your Windows and your BlackBerry days. What was like you mentioned earlier before we got on camera that you made some apps and they made some money as a freelance sort of thing.
Yeah. So I think the first app I made that made money was just a sports World Cup app. So I think it was before I made it in like 2013 December. I was starting to make, and 2014 was World Cup. And I just graduated from my college, and so I was into so BlackBerry also were very generous, because I almost made like 20 apps for BlackBerry. They sent me like at least 4 or 5 devices. They were like showering devices on the developers who were working on the platform. So they sent me 3 or 4 devices, and I was testing.
I can't even get Google to send me one phone, and I have like, like if you think, and I'm not like your average developer. Like I have like people watch my stuff. Like you think they would send me like a phone, or like send me the newest Pixel like once a year or something. Like, come on.
Yeah, it's weird because it happens when they are starting. Now Google and Apple have reached to a level they don't care like if they need to do that. I mean, they have to care about advocating their libraries and stuff. So they may send you like, okay, Google Cloud or Firebase keys, or free use this stuff. But yeah, now I think they reached the level they don't need to send mobile devices, definitely. And just coming on that mobile devices, I also got mobile devices from Samsung way back in 2010 or 13 14, or running Tizen. So Samsung was always working on Tizen OS, which is their like runs on the watch also, because they always have this backup. Like if something goes wrong with the Google or something, they will have always this Tizen OS which can run Android apps, and it's just there for navigation. So yeah, they have that too, and they sent developers and organize some hackathon to make Tizen apps as well, so, which is bizarre, man. So many, I feel like so many OS have tried to come during those time, 2011, 12, 13, that when the Google and Apple was rising. And I think they all had already risen to a level, especially if you consider the main app like Facebook, WhatsApp, and YouTube. They were only on these platforms. And I remember the BlackBerry developer relations team publishing that they will be working with WhatsApp to bring their WhatsApp to it, but it never came. So I think there must be some complication and like other legal stuff as well. But yeah, I think that was a key factor defining this. So yeah, so coming back to they sent me devices, and I made the football World Cup app that was happening in 2014.
What did it do?
It just do is like very simple application. It's just show the scoreboard, but it shows in the sense like, okay, you can just get notification of only on your team. Like, okay, if you pick Argentina, you will only get every score, every notification of Argentina. If you pick Brazil, you will only get information about Brazil, news about Brazil. So it's like you have all World Cup information in the app, but once you just pick a country, you will be very exclusive to that notification. And I did all of it. Like, okay, I'm fetching news from somewhere, fetching scores from somewhere, and a lot of stuff. And I got like, I was a student. I just came out of college and made this and got into a legal issue as well. Like I was asked to not use Football World Cup or their logo in my app icon. I'm like, okay, I didn't know that you cannot do that. Like I thought, okay, is logo everywhere is used. They're like, no, it's copyrighted. And I was like, oh, this is also a thing. So yeah, so I learned by mistakes and like learning this. So yeah, so that app almost, I mean, if you consider I was just still in college, it made like around like 1600 USD. So I was like sky high.
Pretty good.
1600 USD. And yeah, it was like 99 cents. And people were buying a lot in BlackBerry, and I was very happy. And it was World Cup. So I think sports app usually do good because people are very interested in it. So they want to know app. And I think I got featured in one of the news articles. So that's why I got a lot of downloads.
Cool.
So that was my journey to start, and I was like, "Oh, app development is cool.
Yeah,
like you can make cool stuff and just sell it. Yeah. You don't have to do." I mean, I was just sitting in my room doing this stuff, and nobody other than me knew it. Like even my home, their parents, they didn't know what I was doing, and they were like, "Yeah, he's just doing something on computer." So yeah, it was. Then I realized, okay, like it's like you hit a like bulb light, and you're like, oh, so app development can do this. Like, it's real money getting credited to your PayPal and other account. And it took some time to realize, I'm like, okay, that's a good path to go.
So then what was that? What was after that for you? Like you did did Windows then BlackBerry, right?
Yeah. So Windows was first, and then
the BlackBerry app was the one you made money on though, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So then how did you go to Android? What was like your first Android experience? Was it a job? Was it freelance? Was it building an app? What was it?
So my first experience in the Android was also like a freelance. I just was trying something. Like mostly I was participating in a lot of hackathons. So during my time, I was like any hackathon happening in like I was studying in Delhi, any hackathon happening in Delhi or any hackathon happening online, I would just participate without even thinking. I have participated in so many VR application hackathons. I didn't even realize like how to make VR apps. I have to like so I was very like curious about all the things. So I will just, so you need to make some VR app, and then I will be like, how do we make it? And then I was like, there's a tool called Unity where you can do this 3D stuff. And then I start learning Unity next day. So I was like kind of this phase during my college. So similar to like Android. And then I participated in this hackathon. They wanted to make us a basic metal detection app to help in some security stuff. So I was like, okay, how can we do it? Then I remember there's a magnetometer or something in the Android devices. You can use it to detect some metal signal or something else. So there was along the line. And then I was learning about, okay, so you can use this Android. That's how you make app. That's the activity. And I think there was Eclipse I was using. I'm not sure if you... Eclipse I was using. So you set up Eclipse, and setting up Android was also a huge task that time. Like you set up Eclipse, you set up these libraries, you SDK, and then you say, okay, finally one like you create activity, your own XML, and everything is running. Like Android Studio was not in the picture that time.
Right.
So I feel like now compared to that time, the barrier to entry is very low. So you can just download Android Studio. It gives you first app or activity running, which is super nice. But my time, when you have to set Eclipse yourself, you have to set SDK yourself, and you have to understand like you're spending like 1 or 2 days just setting up this stuff. like okay, and I mean definitely it was not super high download speeds in Delhi that time. So I'm like, okay, I'm downloading the image we used to download to run the emulator or stuff. I'm like, okay, I'm downloading this. It's going to take like, 3-4 hours. I'm going to go out. So yeah, a lot of challenges and learning along the way.
What did you actually take in school then? Was it software engineering?
Yeah, so it was computer science in major, but I really don't know. Like I was not attending school that much. So this genre I went into, the app development, the Windows, the BlackBerry has nothing to do with the school, like literally nothing. The school was just data structure, algorithm. Can you
the fun stuff?
I don't know, for some reason they were still teaching HTML1, and I knew about that time like HTML5 is a thing, so I was like, oh my god, these schools need to upgrade upgrade their stuff. So yeah, so I was more like avid learner outside the school than reading. But yeah, definitely some of the concepts which I learned in school, like definitely Java was one of the major that got me started in Android itself. And the operating system knowledge and data structure. So these couple of things I think were good, but rest I don't know why we were just reading all of it.
Wasting time. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of subjects. If you notice, like if you in a 4 year of college, you were learning a lot of subjects. Like you're learning about networking completely, and then you're learning about designing the architecture. I don't know why we have architecture design also. Not the application architecture, literally the building architecture design in the app as well. So in the study as well. So it was cool.
So what? So what was the first job, or like what's the first money making opportunity for you in Android?
Yeah, I think the first money making opportunity was definitely I was doing a freelance application. So I mean, it was not a huge money, but this guy came to me. He's like, he needs a application where on the map you show this his hotel or whatever the chain it is, and that's all. Like it's their own app. They will give it to the users, and you just show their hotel chains and other stuff. I'm not sure, but right now, if you see, like, if you have a Google Map, you can show all your stuff or everywhere. But I think that way they wanted to make a specialized there. So I think that was my first app, which earned me like, I would say like 1,000 USD, which was nice for me. Like I made a whole app from end to end and released it on Play Store as well, and then gave them the keys and token. And it was just interesting in the sense like I learned about that map, and map I think was very complex for like a beginner to learn. Like, okay, you're learning how to use the map, and that was one of the like steep learning curve for me also. But after that, once I had done that, everything was very easy. But the most challenge I faced for 1 or 2 years I was doing freelancing and just make someone's app or just release my own app and other stuff. During the 2015, before I joined the job, the Android was already so populated that you come up with an idea or you come up with anything, there will be already like 5 or 10 apps doing the same thing. So you just have to stand out and doing this. So that's why I was like, it's very competitive app store or Play Store to find a very unique idea to just come up with. So that was one of the challenge while making an Android application, that, oh my God, like all the applications are already there. Why I think of something, I search on the Android, it's there. I'm like, oh my God, they made this also.
Yeah,
so
pretty
that
much.
was one of the key challenge.
Pretty much. Like you can always improve on a lot of these things, but like mostly the apps that any idea that you're going to come up with, it already exists in some form anyway. But there's always room to improve. That's the thing. Like I think.
So later on, I learned like you don't have to be perfect in all aspects. You just need to do one thing better, which will make your app stand out also. So yeah, so after this, all my freelance or doing all the other stuff journey, I joined the company, which was my first official job as Android, was a healthcare company. So it was a post system. So you make an app for the doctor to use or patient to use, which was a very nice idea in the sense they were connecting the doctors to the rural area patients where they are in the like Afghanistan or in the Middle East, which is war-torn area, where they will connect with them. And if they have any diagnosis, the diagnosis is sent to the doctor. So you just have a lot of sharing of reports and x-rays and other stuff, and doctor write the diagnosis directly to the device. And which I think now there are so many systems, like especially during COVID, there's been so many remote diagnosis or remote, doctor consultant. But I think that was in like 2014, 15, that was way ahead of its time. Like they were already thinking of remote consulting and how you can do remote diagnosis. Like you don't need to, so you go to lab, you do your test, you come home, the lab will upload to the doctor will video call you and tell you, okay, what's your result look like? So that was interesting in the 2015 time itself. Like, wow, they're doing this. So yeah,
definitely way ahead. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But it was quite challenging as this for me as well. Like it was my first full job, and I have to learn about like, okay, how to integrate video call, how to have attachment, attach this, pass this, send this. So yeah, it was quite a learning curve from start. And after that, I got like very like accustomed to everything. Then it felt very easy. Okay, you can do this, you can do this. But if you see how fast the Android space moves, there's always new things that you have to keep learning. You cannot be like just, oh, I know everything now, let's stop learning and just start making stuff. But yeah, Android doesn't have it that way. You have to keep learning 24/7.
So that job, like, how did you get that job? Like, what was the interview process, and like, was it difficult for you? How did you sell yourself to that to get that job?
So I had quite a portfolio of like so many apps, but none of them were like stand out. But yeah, I had so many apps, so that was always my selling point. Like, okay, hey, see, I have so many apps. I have 3-4 apps on Play Store, which may or may not have many downloads, but yeah, I made that. And then I will say, okay, this is the client app I did. So that was always my selling point. And I think to the students who will be watching right now, I will recommend to like, just make it for fun, but yeah, publish it. You have to publish it, because I made so many apps that I did not publish. I thought like, oh, this is rubbish, why should I publish? But once you publish it, it kind of have a record there that you can showcase. Okay, I made this in like back in 2010. It may be shitty, but yeah, that was one of my so I feel like I was just keeping a lot of my code base here and there, but I never published a lot of stuff I did, so which I regret. So yeah, whoever watching, just always, whatever you make, just publish it on GitHub, publish it on App Store. It's always good.
So people can see it, basically. You want to get it out there.
Yeah.
So I got a question for you. I got a list of like kind of top questions that I'd like to ask, since you have so much experience, you've done so many things, different operating systems, different jobs, different freelancing, lots of different stuff. What do you think is the single most important thing that you did to like advance your career? Like, what do you think, if you were to pick one thing that was like the most important thing, what would that thing be?
To advance my career. So in the career point of view, I would say definitely. So I use, as I tell, like I used to be very solo developers. Like, okay, I can do it myself. One client come and they're like, do you need help? No, I'm like, no, I will learn Firebase. I will do it end to end. And then I moved to a company where I was a solo Android developer. And I was like, oh, see, I have all the control. But now working with the teams, and especially in Delivery Hero, and before I was working with another startup where I was working with 2-3 good Android developers. Actually, once you work with a team, you learn way more than you learn yourself. You can learn. You can be reading all the time. You can be learning all the time. Like this Jetpack Compose, I'm learning all the time and I'm reading myself. But once you're working with the team with a lot of minds, similar. Tackling similar problems, you actually kind of learn 2 or 3 times similarly. But then again, it's similar to having a community. So if you are, even though you're solo developers, but if you are very active with the community and learning from community, I think it's a great thing. I think that helps you in your career. Like when you learn from someone else, instead of just learning from yourself or just reading documentation yourself. So always just see what's other, and especially I start doing now is like checking other people's GitHub. That's, I think it's very good for learning and advancing yourself. Like, oh, how they have done it. Like before I used to just see overview of it, but now I go deep down. Oh, how do I have done it? So I would say like, I have seen at least like 1,000 GitHub repository how they are doing the architecture. I don't know why, but I've seen like, oh, this guy is doing like this. Oh, his view model is here. Okay, his data source is here. So yeah, so it's like always learning from other people is like you don't feel like okay you will learn, but yeah, you get to learn a lot even though you're not trying. That's I think what's helped a lot in the career as well.
So learn from people. Try to learn from people. Use their pains as learning.
I mean, we are all using your pain to learn, definitely. I mean, and especially the series you made on Jetpack Compose. I mean, I know it's gonna get outdated. I mean, you know that too.
Oh
It's
yeah,
gonna
of
get
course.
outdated after
Yeah.
a few months, but the way you lay down the foundation, it's very nice, and I think it's like perfect way to anyone get started. So
Yeah.
that's very cool, and that's not just the one of your series. I think the one you did on the MVVM was very good too. I learned a lot from that too, because it's so much distributed information everywhere. So when I come to your channel, I'm like, okay, this is one place I can just go with this series and just learn. So it's very good.
Thanks. Yeah, the Compose series I built so that like if it does get updated, which it will be, it should be relatively simple to like pick
Yep.
out videos and update those videos, because I tried to work on individual components. So like even the code that you see in that video, it shouldn't be too hard. But whatever. I mean, either way,
it's okay.
it's
Some
fine.
of the things, I mean, not all the foundations will still say the same, but just the terminology and especially the namification will change.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I actually just created a pull request on your
I just noticed.
Yeah, and I updated to Alpha 10, and there was so many name changes, so many. So yeah, I think I updated like 70 files or something.
Yeah.
That's a classic example of what happens
working with Alpha. Yeah. So similarly, I was like, I updated to Alpha 10, and I was like, oh my god, like so many name changes, and I always feel like, oh my god, how can I automate it? They should.
That's what I was thinking.
Right? Yeah.
I was thinking, man, I think I was like halfway through after editing like 30 files, and I'm like, there's got to be an easier way to do this.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, I think they changed the image vector also and the other
stuff. It's vector drawable to image vector. I think that's what they changed.
Something around that. Oh, asset
an asset, asset for icon, asset for image.
Like, it was fine both ways. I mean, okay, I have to change it. Especially looking at my code base of the cookbook, it's like so many lines, and I have to just go through so many projects. So, and I think still there's one issue. Like I remember in the dialogues area, they changed the alignment to something else. So my alignment of the dialogues is just messed up. I need to fix that as well. So so a lot of changes will keep coming. I think it's, but I think. Looking forward to it, it's still going very good. If you think of compared to other alpha, I still feel like Compose alpha version is very good. Like whatever I did is using alpha versions. If they can do it, so I can imagine like, and you can write tests also. So I just automated the test and just wrote a CI for running all the Compose tests, which is nice. So that's all you need to make an app, right? You need to make screen, you should be able to test, you should be able to debug and everything.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of experience with like, I've never really played with a lot of like different alpha stuff. Like I think Hilt was probably the first thing that I ever touched in alpha, and then Compose was the second thing. So I don't really like have anything to like go off of. Like, well, I don't have a bad alpha experience to tell you about, but from using Compose and also using Hilt, both of them just seem like solid, pretty solid for alpha. And I don't know if every alpha is like that, but you're telling me that it's not. So
yeah, so I think if in the Google chat also during I/O, the Igir, their main Jetpack developer, he told like once it goes in beta from Google, what it means is you can use in production.
Right.
So yeah, so we have been using a lot of betas in production as well. So we use a lot of constrained layout versions in beta in our current production apps as well. So yeah.
So you're so what was after doing the freelance and then getting your first Android job, have you jumped around a lot, or have you kind of stuck with similar jobs?
Yeah, so I had quite a few jumps in the sense like I was working there, then I got an opportunity in Singapore. That was my first exposure coming to Singapore. So I worked with the startup here for almost 2 years first, and that was a very good experience because we made 2 end-to-end user experience app, and one was chat based and other was experience based. Like you can book experience, you can like book skiing, you can book other stuff like cooking classes and other through the application. So it was kind of platform for all the services. So we were providing it as a platform, and so yeah, I worked there almost 2 years, and there I learned a lot of stuff. So when I was thinking like, oh, I have learned so much for making this medical app, Then I got to know, oh, you need to learn about integrating payments. You need to learn about how to do the transactions and other stuff, and what security comes with it. Then you say, oh, what is this security things in Android? And then you get to learn about it. So yeah, as I said, like the moment you know, okay, you know this stuff, and then you're like, oh my God. So it's similar to the analogy where you're climbing on a rock and you see, okay, I'm almost at the hill. But when you reach at the hill and you say, like, okay, there's another rock to climb.
Yeah.
So Android
Infinite.
development is like that.
Yeah, infinite.
Yeah.
Infinite
So
hills.
I worked there for almost 2 years. And then later I joined a dating startup, which is, I wouldn't call it, it was a big company, but it's only focused on the Asia Pacific. They have a similar to Tinder. They have a dating app, but more targeted towards the Asia, and especially it was number one in Taiwan and Korea. So I was working with that company, Paktor, for quite a while. And then later I joined Delivery Hero and Food Panda here. So Delivery Hero is the main company. Food Panda is the main product in the Asia Pacific, which is serving more than 14 countries. So here currently, we have a huge team and a really talented team where I learn daily from them and get to know. And just few days back, I was watching someone making a PR to move from RX to coroutines, and it was very interesting read. And I was like, wow, okay, let me check this. So yeah, so that's what I meant, like once you're with the team that you're learning stuff even though you want or not. So I'm like, okay, that's interesting. So I just went through it and see what's the process. So it's a very I feel like I'm working among a lot of talented people here.
So how big is your team that you're working on at Delivery Hero?
So we have a half divided team in Berlin and in Singapore. So we are almost like 45 Android developers.
Okay.
And we work on very modularized code base. So each developer or each team have their own code module where they work on. So I work on mostly on the vouchers and the offers. So I handle that module. So it's on me, and I get a lot of independence, which is nice for even having this big organization. I have a lot of independence. How I wanna architect this module, how I wanna do the testing, how I wanna adopt the other stuff. If I wanna, so in future, if I wanna adopt coroutines, how can I adopt for just my module so it doesn't affect the other apps? So it's that gives us a lot of independence, and I think that's a very good way to approach all this new stuff as well.
Yeah, that's cool. The modularity thing is really cool. It's like you give a piece to somebody so that they own it and they're responsible for it. It's like,
so even though it's a huge app, you each get their own chunk of the feature that they own. So you can actually learn from other feature as well. So yeah, I learn a lot from other people's module, how they're doing architecture, how they're using the MVVM, how they're using live data. And then you say, okay, do I want to use it or do I want to refactor it? So similarly, I said, so one module is moving from coroutines to moving from RX to coroutines, and then I will be going through it and learning from it, and then maybe next few weeks I will try to find the time to move as well. So it's kind of a learning process, and then you get to own it and you get to move it. So hopefully in future also I will be the first one adding Compose to my module as well.
Oh yeah, I hope so too. I'm sure you will. You got to be one of the most.
Everybody knows I will, but yeah, it's the part is the main curious question would be we have a design system, so we had to before even laying a first view in the module, we have to make a compatible design system. So there's a couple of ways that we already have a MDC, the adapter that they provide to move your existing style files to the Compose, or you can just create a similar design system which is similar to your own design system and compatible with the Compose. So yeah, there will be a couple of ways, but yeah, I think design system would be very good thing to know how I can set it up before moving to the UI. And I remember a couple of people already proposed or made some design system for their company. I think Vinay Gaba, they were doing something for the Airbnb, creating a design system. But yeah, hopefully looking forward what other communities are doing towards it. So it would be very see how people are creating their own themes, their own designs to use in their company.
What's the most popular architecture in each of these modules that you're talking about within your company's app?
So yeah, we using a lot of clean architecture with MVVM. So a lot of architecture is based on the all the data layer and everything. We communicate using the clean architecture. And then because the view model for the front area, we use the view model, and we make sure we have multiple states to update the UI. So it's a combination of both. We have pure MVVM as well and MVP as well on different modules. So which is nice. Like you can tell, like, okay, there's a variety of developers who have worked on different part. But yeah, if you consider the most common, yeah, I think is the clean architecture with MVVM.
Oh, I had a question. Now I forgot it. Oh, what about single activity? What is it? You guys use a single activity? You guys use multiple activities? What do you do?
We are not using single activity right now, but I mean, for each module there is a single activity, and we use a lot of fragment. But yeah, module to module we have multiple activities, and yeah, so there's a lot of each module communicate using a proxy and how the communication happen. And I think that's what one of the curious learning as well, like how you communicate. If you have so many modules, how you create a very good communication and very good decoupled communication between them. And that's one of the challenge we face.
That's got to be the toughest part, probably, right?
Yeah. So that's one of the toughest parts for having so modularized app. And I think we always evolving and learning from our mistakes or how we can improve it. But yes, the single activity, even for Compose, I don't adopt it. I don't know. I'm not fan of single activity right now, but I definitely think it's if it's the, I mean, with Compose, you wouldn't need many activities, first of all. The only thing I missed there is because there was no transition defined that like the activity you have. So I hope we will have a lot of transitions where other than the crossfade to do a lot of stuff when you're moving from one screen to two screen. So that would be nice. But yeah, I feel like if you're making an app scratch from Compose, you may not need more than one activity.
What do you have the same dream that like many developers have, which is no more fragments, maybe one activity, and then just having screens, just designing composables and building your own navigation system?
Yeah, I think definitely that's the fragment. How do I say? So I had one of the stock app I was working on. So that was my open source, not open source, just a freelance app that I made throughout my time was for Indian stock market. And it has a lot of view pages because it has a lot of stuff to show and the swipe. So there I felt like, oh, fragments are so good because you can use in each view pager. They handle their own life cycle and when to load, when not to load. But other than the view pager context, I just don't understand like a lot of usage of fragment because you are spending time to manage their life cycle, manage their stuff. So yeah, I feel definitely if I had chance, I would use single activity and manage my own navigation. Okay, show this, show that, and which is good. And that's why I think with Compose it will be very easy as well. But yeah,
it's tomorrow actually.
I was actually very curious. Like you made your Compose one and you added fragment. Is that? And I was like, why would Mitch do that? Is he interested in fragments that much?
I like navigation component, and I like navigating with fragments that way. And I thought the interoperability with fragments, well, it's the same with activities, I guess too. But I don't know. I just wanted to. I generally build out a single activity with many fragments when I use navigation component. But I'm hoping that tomorrow, actually, because this is when they said they were going to do the update. I don't know if they're actually going to. They said that hopefully you'll be able to, somehow scope a view model to a navigation graph, and then you could somehow, tie this navigation graph into composables, and you could just have, one activity, have your navigation graphs and composables, and then build your own navigation system. That sounds like That's like a dream. That's what
Yeah,
I want.
I think that's the direction they're moving towards, which I'm very curious too, like how they would do it. I think there is already a navigation part for Compose, which I tried. It's again, the similar issue I was facing was like transition. How can I do my own different transition? Like, okay, this screen should come from the right, this screen should come from the bottom. So I think either I have to create my own animations to support that. But yeah, I will just look into that. So yeah, that would be definitely a perfect solution. And I remember because they created this, once you create an activity, it creates a UI with theme and style with the theme and the font and other stuff. So with each activity, it creates it. So I remember asking this question and finding a bug also, like with each activity you create, it's creating the theme and style again. So their reply was like, oh, with Compose, we expect you to just create one activity. I'm like, okay, that's curious, because once you have creating activities, creating theme and again, but you have already configured one main theme, so you kind of deleting it. And especially they call the theme folder as UI folder, which was very weird too, where they put all the colors and the theme. So I think I raised a bug. I think it was changed also. But yeah, again, so they want us to create only one activity with Compose and then move from there, and that's how it's designed also. That's
So
why
do you like navigation component? Do you guys use
I like
that?
it. I like it. I haven't used it extensively, but I like it in the sense that, okay, you're not doing a lot of fragments, and you're not doing a lot of other stuff that it automatically manage a lot of headache for you.
Right.
I feel. But again, I still not like super fan of it. Like, okay, do we
Yeah, because
really
you don't like fragments, is what you told me earlier.
yeah.
So obviously you
Yeah.
don't like navigation component. It's all about fragments.
Yeah, so it's like one activity and then everything is connected via fragment. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's both up and down, upside and downside. So
I think it's a much more natural transition if you've been working with navigation component, because then you've already been doing, single activity probably, or maybe only like a couple activities. So transitioning to this thing that they're going towards is very natural. Single activity, have your different navigation graphs, and then have your composables hopefully tied to those
I think
graphs.
that would definitely work great, because all you need is those composable to access the stuff we're gonna pass them to, and then they are good to go. And I think there's a couple of things I still not sure. Like, so there's a coroutine scopes. Remember, coroutine scope you can use and then launch your coroutine from it. So from that perspective, I'm not sure. Like, is there going to be a coupling? It's going to be a very tight couple if we launch a coroutine from there, or what they expect. So as the generally what I got the idea is, you should pass as much as possible the events to the up, which they presented also. Events should just traverse to up. Then they have view model access and the coroutine access in the components as well. So which is also counteractive. Like, I want to do like, okay, if this thing is clicked, I just want to pass even to the topmost composable, and that should just talk to a view model or something, which is I think it's still a good approach. So each your component are just callback based. They do not need to worry about instantiating or anything view, which is gonna give opportunity to reuse that components. So which is nice.
Right.
So what's what's your best learning or best thing about Compose have been?
About Compose? I don't know. I like the declarative UI thing. I think it is definitely just the way that is. I don't know. I don't have like a metric to give you. I don't know if it's just like the developer experience. It's like the feeling you got when you moved from Java to Kotlin. There's no like there's really nothing like better, like really. It's just I enjoy it more. It like if I'm writing some code, I have a more pleasure writing the Kotlin than I do the Java. If I'm writing a UI with Compose, I have more pleasure when I'm writing the UI with XML. I don't know.
Do you feel it's I don't know, because I was you must have tried Flutter also. I was trying, and I happen to work with React also somehow. So I kind of so whatever someone asks, like, okay, I will learn it. So I kind of had a what I think Chris was also talking about in the tweets, that like everybody should adopt Compose. Everybody who is coming new to Android development, students should adopt Compose.
Yeah, I think
because
so.
there's a mental mindset you have to make to do Compose, and then there's a mental mindset to do the imperative way what we have been doing. So they said there's a shift gonna be hard if new learner learn both at the same time. So I did React and I did Flutter. So for me, I don't know when the shift happened that I got used to it. So for you, what did you feel like moving from XML to Compose? Like, do you feel like, okay, there's a lot of stuff you're doing which you shouldn't be doing? Have your mental mindset have moved to the declarative way?
I spent a month on Flutter. I strictly booked off a life of my life, and I only used Flutter for 30 days.
It's a Flutter life.
Yeah, I was on the Flutter life. I was a Flutter baby for about it was a month, and that wasn't long ago. That was only, I don't know, 3 or 4 months ago I did that. So, and in my head I was thinking, okay, then I'm going to learn Compose. So by the time I got to Compose, I was already very comfortable with the declarative UI mindset. So now I'm trying to think back, what was it like when I was learning Flutter? I think pretty much right away I thought, oh, this is a better way to build a UI. Like it just like instant, like pretty within the first, I don't know, 2 days or something. It just was like, no, this is better. This is the way you should do it. I don't know. It just seemed right.
Yeah, I think that's similar feeling I had. But yeah, I hope many who will adopt would not have any hard time, because it is a very big shift writing the UI how we used to do. But it's again the step into right direction. And if you see, so many people were reluctant to move from Java to Kotlin as well, and I've seen like some bizarre reasons. Some people say like if there's a security reason we don't want to move, or some people would say like the no Java do this better. I'm like, these are like, okay, if you're gonna nitpick small things, that's how you can just tell yourself I don't want to move. But
Right.
yeah, I think it's definitely Kotlin makes writing Android application more like fun, and similar to Compose makes writing applications even more fun. So yeah, recently I was doing a redesign in my company for one layout I work on, and I was like, oh man, could I write it in Compose? When it's gonna go out? When it's gonna go out? I want to write it in Compose.
Yeah, it's
It's
just
a constraint layout, and I was like, oh, when can I write it in Compose?
yeah, it really sucks. Like it honestly is writing XML. I hope I never have to do it again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, same feeling.
Yeah.
Like I'm still doing it, but I'm really wishing like, okay, when they're gonna release it. And I mean, they say this year, so I hope by this IO we have, they will have a stable release. But yeah, looking forward to it. And I just saw a tweet yesterday also. So they say the testing will also, the Espresso will also be supported. So you may not have to update your test directly completely, which is nice too. So I feel like, because this is the first of Google's fresh start, because they build the Kotlin compiler from the fresh start. It does not depend on the Vue.java. It does not depend on the legacy views. So they have laid down the foundation very well. And I think that's what is good thing, in the sense they're thinking always about the future, like how it's going to do. So people want testing, people want decoupling, people want easy to work with architecture components. So that's been their approach to make Compose, I feel.
Yeah, it's great. I think it's the way to go. Flutter, to be honest, have you spent a lot of time on Flutter?
Yeah, I have like made a full app on Flutter, and I really like it. But if you ask me to compare Flutter and Compose, I really feel the modifier system that Compose have made is mind blowing. Like I was like amazed. Like I was like, this modifier system, because when you like two technology and you're like, which one is better, which one do differently. So I feel like, oh, if this modifier system can be part of Flutter, that would be so cool too. I hope someone make this instead of wrapping a lot of widgets with the padding or the other stuff.
That's true. Yeah, because when I did Flutter, that was my first declarative UI. So by the time I started using Compose, I sort of like forgot-ish like the things that bothered me about it. I just
Yeah,
remember
yeah,
that I really liked it. And it
yeah.
because it was like the declarative UI thing. I was like, it's instant, like you can build it, you see the instant preview over there. I just was having such a great time. I
Yeah.
forgot the bad things. And actually, because after I finish this next course with Compose, I'm gonna go back and spend a couple more months on Flutter.
Flutter
And
baby.
yeah, I'm gonna be Flutter baby. And now I'm really interested because you're right. There's gonna be things now that I go to Flutter and be like, oh, Compose actually does that better.
Yeah.
Um, for sure,
Yeah.
the what is it called? The instant preview.
Modifier.
The modifier thing, and the instant preview though. Flutter I
Yeah.
think has got that. Like the
Yeah, yeah,
preview
yeah.
thing on with Compose does not work well. It
Yeah,
like
yeah. I think the Android Studio team need to
fix that.
fix that, because definitely the XML preview, however shitty XML is, the preview is still so reliable, and
Yeah.
I think they definitely will work on it. But yeah, I hope once they launch, the preview is very solid, because we use it a lot,
Yeah.
and it's intractable. That would be a very good plus point as well. And so that's definitely a room for improvement there. But yeah, I think the way the hot reload the Flutter do is
Hot
amazing.
reload. That's what it's
Yeah,
called. Yeah.
yeah. That's like amazing. Yeah, yeah. That's like once you do that after moving from Android development, you're like, oh wow, this is cool. Like I'm not running the app again. It's not installing again. It's
Yeah.
just done.
You
I
can move
feel like,
stuff around and like
yeah, I feel like I hope the Compose were able to do that too, because if they can integrate this hot reload straight to the Android Studio preview, that would be amazing. We don't even need to run into devices. So yeah, looking forward to that as well. But yeah, definitely room for improvement. But I hope which comes sooner or later with the stable release.
I have a question for you regarding how you would build an Android app. So if you were like a team lead, or maybe you got a startup, I don't know, or you were you were the guy in charge. You were the last sort of line of defense, and you had to design this app. What are the things that you would choose to build it? Like, how would you build it? Would you use? I have a bunch of points here that you can choose from. I'll just list them out, and then you can talk about them. So single activity or multiple? I think I already know your answer to that one. Navigation component or classic fragment navigation? I think I know your answer to that one too. If you had to have some kind of a navigation system, would you use a drawer or would you use a bottom nav? Would you maintain multiple backstacks, or would you do something like hiding the whatever navigation system when you navigate it away from the home fragment, or would you build the system to maintain the multiple backstacks? Would you use Viewmodels? Would you use a single like master repository, I guess you would say, or would you use like specific use cases? Hilt, Dagger, Coin, Codeine, whatever type of dependency injection you want. Which one would you use? Would you use the paging library? Would you use room for caching? And what architecture?
Okay.
Lots of questions.
There's a lot of questions. I would just tell you how would I make an app if I'm gonna make it.
I was just trying to like get your mind
Yeah.
into the state of like thinking of all these things.
So first would be, I definitely want to make sure that my app, the features are very modular, because what I learned from here in Delivery Hero is like module app really easy to collaborate and easy to scale. So I will make sure that it's modularized. And coming to the architecture using the navigation, I don't know why. I have never liked side drawer. I always like bottom navigation bar. Even in Compose, I did not write side drawer. Someone else contributed to it in the Gmail demo. I'm like, I really hate it. I don't know why, but I really like a bottom navigation bar. I feel like it's very easy and it's very intuitive, like 3 bars, 4 bar, 5 bars. So I end up working on many applications which always having the bottom bar. So I really like bottom bar in that sense. Other than that, so if I'm architecturing my app, I will definitely go with the clean plus MVVM, which is good in the sense like if you don't want to use MVVM later on, you can just switch it with other stuff. You can use it with presenter. You want to use MVI, you want to use something else, you can use it. So, but the core, your data and the communication with the network stays in the clean, which is good. And coming to the libraries,
why is it good? Why is it good? Why is it good?
In the sense that you know that you whatever comes out of repository, you can consume it anyway. You can consume tomorrow. I want to just make sure that the repository gives a observable, gives live data, gives it's a coroutine or it's a flow, whatever it gives. The front side of it should be able to consume. If it's I want to consume it via view model, I want to consume it via presenter, I want to consume it straight to an activity, or I want to just pass straight this flow reference to a composable. So which I think is easy in the task. Like you're not gonna change the part you have done. So you're just gonna create your system and you're just gonna create your use case and you just distribute to whoever want to consume it. So I want to make it in the sense like, oh, this is the producer of data only, and you only worry about the future of the UI and everything, or the architecture will just worry about the consumer part, how you're going to consume the data. The producer part is done. It's not going to change. It produced, this is data. It produced list of movies, produced list of this. That's all you need to consume. So which I think is it's a good way to go if you want to make a really scalable app, because you're not worrying about laying how your data communication happening again and again. If you're changing something in the architecture, so something in the view side, like tomorrow if we move to Compose, I do not need to worry about that. Okay, this use case is producing a RX, or it's producing a flow, or it's producing a live data. All I just need to do is consume it in the composable.
Right. The UI does not care. It just eats it up.
Yeah. UI should be as dumb as just consumer. So that's why I really love the observable pattern. Like UI should just and definitely Compose is made in a way that it makes you enforces that, like, because you cannot do a lot of things in the composable itself.
It won't recompose.
So they are made to be dumb and just consume the UI and or send the event back to the top. So which is perfect. And I think the observable pattern is very good in the sense to make the UI aware of this view changes. And coming to the Room, I really like Room, and I think it's very good. You can still use your own SQLite, or if you want to do, but I think the way Room handles stuff, and especially it can produce live data, or you want to consume suspend function, and all works with the Room, which is great. And other than that, I would use
dependency injection.
Yeah, for dependency injection, I actually don't know health, so I will still stick with Dagger. But I am very curious to learn about health. I mean, definitely Dagger has a very long, what do I say, is learning curve.
Yep.
So if you are new, I would definitely suggest you just try Coin or try health first, because
don't learn Dagger. It's like not. It's the learning curve is insane. It really is. Like it's for sure the hardest thing I had to ever learn on Android.
And I feel like even Google trying to solve. So I saw a couple of videos where they're trying to say, okay, we make Dagger easy by telling the health. But that guy, the way he presented health, attaching each to Dagger, I'm like, you should be presenting it thinking someone doesn't know Dagger. If you're gonna attach everything to Dagger, the person will be like, oh, why I don't know Dagger. So health is great, but I feel like it's
one of the only problem I would say also is, I think what you're about to say is it's attached. Hilt is attached to Dagger, and in order to like really understand like what's happening, you sort of need to know Dagger. Like you could get it to work, and that's way easier for sure. Hilt 100% easier. It's just going to work. It's going to be easy to set up, but you're not really going to know what's happening, and you're not really going to understand what's happening unless you know Dagger, because it's generating components. That's what it does. So
exactly.
Yeah.
So you will not know inside of it, which is sometimes bad, because you're just doing something and then you will be like, oh, if there's an error, what's happening, and you don't know the internals of it. But yeah, I mean, I would really like the way the health is going in direction, because definitely DI should not be such a huge topic for Android development. I mean, we should make it easy, not like, I know it's very good for like for scaling your app, for managing your dependency graphs, but it's really a very strong learning curve for new developers who are coming to, or just graduating. Like when I graduated, I just wrote all the code in the activity. I didn't even create presenter or anything. So, and then later on you learn about this, and thanks to your courses, and okay, there's MVVM, you can do this, and then you can read from it. But I think that material was not available back in 2012, 13.
No, definitely not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even when I can think back to like when I started, I don't know, 4 years ago, there was very little. Even the Android docs, like they were quite terrible.
Yeah, I mean, Android was never. I think I think 4 or 5 years back, they say like they never gave a suggestion which architecture you use, which stuff to use, which view models to use, and Jetpack was not even in existence. And so it was like, everybody is doing their own way. Every second day there's new architecture pattern. Every second day there's new pattern for development applications. And I was like, okay, it's going crazy. That we have to settle down on some things.
So I think you answered all of because I know you want single activity. You wouldn't use navigation component. You'd use a bottom nav. What about multiple backstacks? How would you tackle that issue with your bottom? Because you like to use bottom navigation, so that's like that's prime time to use multiple backstacks. So how would you do that?
So I would definitely want to have my own backstack. I will use this still fragments, but having my own backstack in the sense like with the bottom navigation, I always make sure that if the user is pressing back, I really hate when I'm on a second or third bottom nav and user press back and it close the app. It should not. It should go to the home one, and then it should say, okay, or some apps do like, okay, you want to close the app, which is also a bad experience. Like I press back from a third or fourth nav because I feel like I was on first nav. I came on the third or fourth navigation button. It should go back to the first navigation. And so some apps do it differently. They say, okay, if you press back, you will close the app, or some takes to the first navigation, which I usually do. And on the first navigation, when you press back, also they show you want to close the app. So, but I feel like, yeah, if user launch the app, press a back, it should go back, which is a normal behavior. But yeah, if user is moving through different navigation, I would always make sure that user comes to the first navigation before leaving the app. So yeah, so I will use what is out of the box, but yeah, just add small change to it, to the backstack. And especially I think if we're using the already made up system, we don't need to worry that much about. But if I have to create my own backstack completely, yeah, I would make sure that user's journey is like, I really like that. That's why I really like the activity backstack. Like, you open screen, the back gonna be that stack.
Right.
If there's not existence, then you feel, especially when it happens when there's a deep link involved, some apps just completely kill the old version, old stack, and just start a complete version, which is like a bad experience in the sense like, so if your app has a deep link to open internally, then create it as a stack. So keep the original stacks there, because in Android, definitely user expect to go back to the page it lands from.
Yeah, again, I'm really like excited about Compose, and like I hope that you can like, yeah, just I want to be able to build my own backstack. Like that's what I really want to do. Just like have complete control over it. That's
I think you can create your navigation stack in Compose easily.
You could. It's just the view model issue. You can't tie a view model to a composable, which kind of makes that whole thing pointless.
I mean these kind of problem is very common. So because we evolve so much in the current Android environment, I think once the Compose comes in the picture and people are using it, you're gonna see thousands of pattern, anti-pattern, how their people are managing their like, that's gonna be another way, a journey to see. Like,
Yeah, that's true.
I can see the people commenting, "Oh no, this is not how you should do it. No,
Yeah.
this is how you should do it." It's gonna go a long way again.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. So I think this is a good time to end. We're just over an hour now, but I had a good time talking to you, and it was really nice meeting you. And I will continue to contribute to your GitHub repository
Definitely, man. Thank
because
you for that.
I think it's definitely the best It's for sure the best repository out there for Compose, actually, other than the samples.
Yeah, I was just starting for fun, and I was like, actually, you're right. It's so fun writing in Compose. So,
It is.
like, yeah, you just write it for the fun. You don't like think about what I'm gonna make, or you just write it for fun. So there's a lot of stuff. Like, I wanted to make it for learning experience, but then I just went with the flow. I'm like, okay, I want to try this. I want to try this. I keep making different
When did
UI.
you start, by the way? Like, when did you start this repo?
I think it's not been more than 3 or 4 months. It's less than that. So
Oh wow.
yeah, it was launched way after the like Google samples and all. But yeah, it grew very fast. I don't know, like maybe it was not many options there. So I was very happy with it. But yeah, I didn't contribute. I didn't make this just to make it. I was like really enjoying it. Like, oh, today I want to try this. Oh, let me see how can I make the stories. How can I make this? And then I was like, oh wow, that's so easy. How it's so how can it be so easy in this?
Yeah.
And so yeah, so that's the fun part of it. Just make me keep going about it.
Yeah,
And
it's
definitely.
it's like a very it's like a creative. It like I don't know. It feels like I'm an artist and I'm like drawing some pictures or something. I don't know. It's like a very creative experience.
Recently, I did chart. So Alex Lockwood, I think his name is. He do a lot of good in Compose on the canvas, and I don't have a lot of experience because I think the one web developers or the UI developers, they have a lot of experience working with the canvas. So and the beauty is like, in Compose, you can just do straight up stuff with the canvas. You don't have to override draw function and get the access to canvas like
I did with the dot thing.
Yeah.
Remember the loading dot thing?
Yeah. That's part one of the two. So we are exactly like writing to canvas and doing this fun stuff, which we have not experienced before in Android. So I think that's gonna open so many opportunities, and it's definitely going to be a great thing to do also.
So where can people get a hold of you? I guess I'll just put some links down below. I'll put your GitHub.
Reach out to me on Twitter or LinkedIn. I'm active on both, and keep contributing. I think you're doing an amazing job making this lecture as well. I mean, I can tell like a lot of people, especially in India also, they watch your video and they learn from it and they start, I think one of your MVVM is one of the most famous, where people learn a lot from it. And
which one is that?
Text me like, I learned this MVVM from him. I'm like, okay, yeah, it's good.
Was that probably the first one?
Yeah, I think it's not very new one, but it's the MVVM one, the architecture, how to make an MVVM app.
Yeah, it's a classic. That's a classic.
That's where, but yeah, I think it's time to update with all the new.
Oh yeah, that's actually what I'm doing right now. Like with the Compose course. That's basically what this is. It's going to be an updated version of that. That's
cool, man. I mean, I'm actually planning to make a full app that I can release to production. With the just Compose and architecture components and using the Jetpack suits. But I'm still waiting. Like, okay, what can I use? Because I wanted to use the cool what is it called? The Font Awesome, their icons. And I was just chatting with the developers also, like, how can I use it? Because the icons thing in Compose is super good. Like, it's just object classes and we can access easily, but it's limited to just material icons. How can we adopt another icons and how we can? So I'm exploring that, and there's a lot of small stuff that I will explore before.
Yeah, that'd be cool if you could, like, instead of just doing like icon dot filled, like either the material icon, you could do like font awesome dot
Yeah,
filled and like
that's the
just
goal. I mean, I will try to make it, but yeah, let's see how it's can
that'd be
done.
awesome.
Yeah, yeah, that's gonna be really cool because material icons are limited and Font Awesome has so good library and it's open source also. So if I hope if nobody does, then I will try to do it for Compose. Yeah.
Cool. Well, nice getting to meet you again, and thanks for coming on. And
Thank you.
I'll talk to you. I'm sure I'll talk to you soon.
Let's stay in touch. Keep contributing.
I will do. Okay.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Have a good day.